Hello, I'm Jelani Gibbons, and this is why I walked away from the Democratic Party. I walked away because I didn't do any research beforehand. I mean, they told me I was a liberal, and I just agreed. There was no questioning it, really. I mean, I lived in Seattle, Washington, and everybody was what I thought liberal. I didn't really do any research on both parties because nobody really told me that both parties was an option. All I was told was the Republican Party was the party of racism. I kept asking questions, and the more questions that I asked, it seemed like nobody had any good answers for me. There was too many gaps in our history, and the stuff that they did want to tell us, there still was a lot of gaps. So I kept asking questions, and nobody wanted to answer. My grandmother kept telling me to do more research, so I decided to do more research. The more research I did, the more questions I had because nothing was really linking up to why I needed to join up with the Democratic Party, especially seeing how nothing good was going on for us in the first place. So I kept digging in and, I started joining more conservative pages because it felt like what they were talking about really aligned with my values. I started to really think like, am I even really liberal at this point? Every day I kept thinking like, I don't agree with anything that they're saying. And it seems like the more and more I'm doing my research, the more and more I feel like I'm distancing myself away from the Democratic Party. They made me angry for no reason and convinced me that somebody was going to murder me just because of the color of my skin. But I'm like, you're trying to scare me like this, but we're in a democratic city. So why are people trying to murder me in my own city because of the color of my skin? But we're supposed to be the city of change, Seattle, Washington, the city of progression. They're saying that we need to riot in the street because there's racism everywhere. But how is that so? But you guys were telling us that we were the city of non-racism and we were the city of change. So the more research I did, the more I realized that I was aligning myself with a radical group. Black Lives Matter, I chose to back them for the longest, but had no real explanation for why we were destroying cities or why we needed to harm the elderly in videos. They aligned themselves with Antifa, and then everything just went downhill from there. But the Democratic Party still never told us we were doing anything bad. Instead, they kept, getting us to do even more radical things and then backing us, which was super weird to me because if you have a criminal record, it's not really going to help you down the road. But it seemed like the Democratic Party was doing more and more to make us more radical and then trying to push laws to help criminals so then that way it would make it seem like they were on our side. I walked away from the Democratic Party because I couldn't handle being used as a pawn. They made us feel like every day we needed to stand ready because the Republican Party was going to come out with their guns and militias and take us all out. But as I started to pay attention, it seemed like that was everything we were doing. We were completely being hypocrites. So I really had to do some soul searching and really seeing that it was a problem because even with me being a black man, I wasn't with a black woman. And me marching with Black Lives Matter and the Democratic Party, they made me seem like I was still an outcast because I wasn't with a black woman, my wife from El Salvador, but I would still get bashed every so often by someone who's supposed to be my brother, mad that I'm with a white woman, which my wife, who's not white. These are all the problems I had being with the Democratic Party, and I just couldn't understand why. But when I aligned myself with the Republican Party and actually did my research, my life became way better. I stopped joining the gang life, and I actually bettered myself. I got my house, and now I'm working on the second one. Me and my wife, we have our car situation, and my kids way happier than when I was a gang member. So I left the Democratic Party because they're only going to set us up, and they keep glorifying criminals and gang members, and it's not really what I want in my life. I want to be the change in the world. So that's why I walked away. I walked away from the Democratic Party because it's just not right for America, and they lost their way. Thank you. I'm Jelani Givens.